election and the state assembly election that would be happening tomorrow, the 18th of March, 2023. The Access Nigeria campaign is a disability rights movement led by the Inclusive Friends Association, IFA, for and on behalf of Nigeria's over 30 million persons with disabilities. The goal of the campaign is to increase the participation of persons with disabilities in Nigeria's political and electoral and, of course, governance processes, and to also ensure the full implementation of the Electoral Act 2022 as amended. We're going to be looking at recent outcome of the campaign. And like we mentioned, as I mentioned earlier, the goal of Access Nigeria campaign is to improve the participation of persons with disabilities in political, electoral, and the governance processes. Through the campaign's engagements, IFA has carried out advocacies to relevant stakeholders and has also influenced the following. 1. The broad deployment of election day written instruction, that's the Form EC30 PWD, for use by voters with various forms of disabilities. What makes this Form EC30 PWD unique is that the instructions are captured in symbols. So it doesn't just help the deaf community to just look at the symbols and know the voting procedures from accreditation all the way to casting ballots, but it also aids everyone who, even the uneducated, to be able to just look at the symbols, the figures, and are able to understand processes for voting on election day. An increased recruitment of PWDs as INEC ad hoc staff on election day. We recorded recently, during the presidential election, in about 26% of our the polling unit observed by our observers, it showed that there were 26% of ad hoc staff who were persons with disabilities. That's in the just concluded February 25th presidential election. This statistics is it's also a demand from the IFA, because what we are looking at is to have a fulfillment of Section 29 of the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act 2018. Another success for us is the increased participation of persons with disabilities in politics. So in both the presidential and the state governorship and state assembly election, there are about 32 persons with disabilities who have run for the presidential and national assembly and who are going to be running for the governorship and the state assembly election. 32 persons with disabilities. Another thing is the increased knowledge of the electoral processes within the PWD communities through the Get Out the Vote radio jingle and the voter education outreach, targeting schools for people with disabilities. Another success is the influence of the amendment of the Electoral Act to make it mandatory for INEC to provide assistive materials for persons with disabilities across all elections. IFA, through its Access Nigeria campaign, conducted Nigeria's first, second, third, and fourth ever polling unit accessibility audit to better understand the challenges that persons with disabilities face on election day, and to also conduct evidence-based advocacies based on the representative data collected. The February 25th, 2023 general election was the first general election of the country since the signing of the Electoral Act 2022 as amended, which birthed the provision mandating the independent National Electoral Commission to provide PWD assistive materials on election day to cast their votes without any form of barriers. Hence, this election becomes historic for us because we went into this election with the new Electoral Act as amended. Howbeit, IFA's observation for the February 25th, 2023 general election showed that 60% of the polling units reported had no braille ballot guide for blind voters who could read and understand braille to cast their vote. IFA deployed 250 persons with disabilities observers across 21 states within the 6 geopolitical zone to observe the selection. And the findings shows that in about 60% of these polling units reported by our observers, the Braille ballot guide was not deployed for blind voters who could read and understand Braille to cast their vote. In about 76% of the polling units observed, IFA also observed, as IFA observers report that non-deployment of magnifying glasses for voters with albinism and low vision. There was no provision in about 76% of the polling units observed by our observers. This therefore means that there is more that needs to be done by INEC in compliance with Section 54 of the Electoral Act as amended in the March 18 state governorship election and of course the State House of Assembly election that is coming up tomorrow. Despite making up 15% of Nigeria's population and the provision of the Electoral Act mandating INEC to provide PWD election assistive material, Nigerians with disabilities in previous elections, in the previous concluded election, that's the February 25th, 2023 general elections, have documented barriers at various stages, such as polling units not accessible to voters with physical impairments, the absence of ramps and handrails for use by PWDs, inadequate deployment of the Form EC30 PWD posters for the deaf voters and of course other forms of disabilities, the Braille ballot guide for blind voters, and also the magnifying glasses for voters with albinism and low vision. And the general polling unit layout, which makes it difficult for persons with physical impairments to move with ease. Now we realize that even at this 2023 presidential election, the barriers were still present, the barriers were still enormous. Now this calls for more work from every PWD advocate, from every OPDs, to continue to engage with these key stakeholders for us to continue to see these changes done. I'm going to hand this over to the program manager, Access Nigeria, to continue on a call for action and recommendations for stakeholders.
Thank you very much. So we are calling on the community of persons with disability to still come out and vote to shape the process. PWDs should take safety precautions by leaving voting places when they begin to sense any danger to their lives. They should call designated security numbers when safely out of danger. Our message to the PWD community is to encourage you to vote, but in doing, prioritize your safety. This is our call to INEC. The IFA Access Nigeria campaign calls on INEC to stand by its commitment, providing the Braille ballot guide during the March 18, 2023 governorship and State House of Assembly election, that is tomorrow. INEC should also guarantee the provision of other PWD-friendly election materials, including the election day written instruction, magnifying glasses, and the Braille ballot guide. INEC should ensure effective and consistent use of Form EC40H to capture disaggregated data of PWDs voting on election day in line with their type of disabilities. INEC should ensure that they harvest the data of persons with disability recorded in the Form EC40H to further guide the deployment of assistive materials. INEC should fully enforce the policy of priority voting for PWDs so that PWDs are not required to stand in the line long hours to witnessed in previous elections. And this is our call to security agencies. The IFA campaign called on the police and the security agencies to protect all voters and election observers, especially those with disabilities. Voters and election observers with disabilities face peculiar mobility and challenges that make it difficult or impossible for them to return safely during election-related violence and chaos. We rely on the assurance from the Inspector General of Police, but wish to reiterate this call in view of the security challenges that we face in the nation. Now to the media. We call on the media to focus on how PWDs are faring as they report on the nation's elections. We understand that the media is often more fixated on election outcomes or results, but wish to note that their reports will be incomplete if they fail to pay due attention to huge constituents like PWDs. Nigerians need to know what was done to accommodate PWDs, and the media is the gateway to achieving that. The media should make deliberate efforts to intensify voter education in this final hour to complement the efforts of organizations of persons with disability in promoting the participation of persons with disability, especially in the forthcoming election. And lastly, media executives should consider disability inclusion in their broadcast and news production to promote inclusive practices in Nigeria, including the consistent utilization of sign language interpretation. This is our call to INEC, to PWD community and the media. We sincerely hope that you bear this in mind, especially the media that are here. This is a call to action. We hope that you bear this in mind while reporting the election for tomorrow. Thank you very much.